He has another commitment.
Mr. Takis?
Here.
Mr. Best?
Here.
Mr. Wayman?
Here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the January 27th, 2016 special meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Donaldson?
Yes.
Mr. Takis?
Yes.
Mr. Best?
Yes.
Mr. Wayman?
Abstain.
Okay, I need a motion for the February 3rd, 2016 special meeting minutes.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Any discussion on those meeting minutes? Roll call, please.
Mr. Takis?
Yes.
Mr. Best?
Yes.
Mr. Wayman?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Donaldson?
Yes.
We're going to go to bills and payrolls from 1/16/16 to 2/11/16. Joanne?
The bills total $95,297.07. Payroll is $156,259.10, for a total of $251,256.17.
Any questions for the fiscal officer? Being no questions, approval please, roll call. Motion, I guess, we need first, yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the bills and payroll.
And a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Donaldson?
Yes.
Mr. Takis?
Yes.
Mr. Best?
Yes.
Mr. Wayman?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Okay, we have the opening public portion. Sorry, I'm a little off tonight. I was out late last night. And I'm out of my reading real well today. So good. So opening public portion.
Todd Baker, 4141. I want to take the time to thank the fire chief, Mr. Takis, and Mr. Gautner, who's not here for meeting with us for labor management. The meeting went well. I think that showed that the group can work together to make a better future for the fire district. So I wanted to thank you guys for your time. Hopefully we can do it again in the future. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? No, I guess not. Okay, committee reports.
Yeah, I was going to touch down on the labor management that Lieutenant Baker brought up. We are going to do a presentation in March on the stuff that we talked about in labor management. I do like to hold another one prior to our next meeting, just to go over all the stuff to make sure we're still all on the same page and everything. I typed everything out. That was my part of the process, was everything we discussed, I typed it out. So when we come back in here in March to present it, I want to make sure everybody's still on the same page with that process.
Okay, do we want to use the same format that we used before with Mr. Takis and Mr. Gautner?
Yes,
And yourself?
that'd be fine.
Is that fine with you, Mr. Takis?
Yep, acceptable to the board.
Yeah, if it's acceptable to the board, it is. It is to me, I think. Does anybody have any opposition to that?
I'll try to get something out sometime either end of this week or beginning of next week.
Okay, let Mr. Gautner know so you guys can coordinate the time. Just let us know. Very good. Any old business?
Yes, I have some.
All right.
Chief, did you ever look into the captain's position that we discussed and talked about?
Yes, I've been working on the job description.
Okay, when is that gonna get out? Do you think? I'm not, can you, as soon as possible? Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I may, once that's written up, the board's going to have to take action to approve it and adopt it if one hasn't been created for that position before.
Right.
Take some part of, make some changes.
Yeah.
Any other part of the, any more old business? No? Any new business? Okay, I guess we go to the chief's report.
Sure, my turn. All right, first thing, you guys, in your packet, you got your inspection packet to review of the inspections that were taken care of. Second thing, I have made a decision to put some money into Station 2 is $900 for some tile and carpeting. We had one of the bathrooms, I think it was in the officer's dorm that backed up. We had to tear the tile out and do some stuff in there, so we got a couple of quotes and $900 for the equipment, and putting it in was the best out of all of them. So that process should start here shortly. Third thing, as you know, about a week ago, our squad was transporting a patient to Geneva. Some terrible weather. Crew's glad everybody's okay, including the patient was in there. We rolled 2132 over. They got into a little bit of spin because that section of 20 probably had like 5 or 6 inches of snow. They got into some ruts, tried to compensate, ended up in a spin and then rolling the squad over. Everybody's fine, including the patient. Talked to him as well. That squad was going to be, the focus of tonight's meeting was to go and refurb it. Well, that's probably not going to be the course right at the moment. Right now, the insurance company is looking at the estimate that the adjuster did, and we sent it to Burgess, the manufacturer of that squad, to go over it to make sure if there's anything we missed. A couple things could happen. It was a 2008 vehicle, had 110,000 miles on it. You know, if they want to repair it, I may balk at that because the squad is old and there's no reason to repair it. If it hits 75% of the replacement costs for a brand new one, then we would get a new squad and they would take that squad away. Or if they come up with this easy math, they say it's 50,000 to repair it, we could still say no, take the 50 and use it to purchase a new squad. Because to replace that squad, you're looking maybe, if we try to sell it on the market before the accident, could be about $15,000 to $20,000. So until that's completed and I get with the insurance company, that's kind of where we're at with that at the moment. We've had the equipment that was on the truck, the LifePak 15 and the Lucas was tested today. They're fine. We're waiting for them to come up with what they're going to do with the cot. The patient wasn't in the cot, it was just hung upside down. I don't think we're going to have an issue with that, but you know, I wanted to test, testing everything else to make sure before we move forward that everything is working fine. So we're working that up. We want to thank Firefighter Wells for helping out. He was here today when they come to test the Lucas and the LifePak 15. Again, we talked about the labor management, very productive. One of the things I want to ask, due to my family issue that's going on, I was wondering if possible we could change next month's meeting to either the week before or possibly the week after. I know that Joanne won't be here the week after, but that week I'll be going to help my uncle take him to Los Angeles. And I was wondering if there's possible we could change that meeting around.
I don't have a problem with that.
I know that.
Would be to accommodate the sponsors since it's the
Yeah.
review. So wherever she's available, if herself available, that's all right.
For when?
To accommodate the fiscal officer schedule since the
Yeah,
budget's
absolutely.
presentation. So whatever's comfortable for her schedule, that's what we have to do.
So you're wondering, when he said the following week after, the reason is I'll be down at the state auditor's training in Columbus those 3 days. Tuesday, Wednesday,
But you
Thursday.
will be here the Wednesday before, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm,
Midnight.
yeah.
Are you okay with it?
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And we'll do the presentation that night after we finish up the budget as well. Thank you, I appreciate you guys for that.
Okay.
Your motion for that?
Yes, that's what I thought it was. I was asking, did you pick a motion?
So moved. So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Takis?
Yes?
Mr. Best?
Yes.
Mr. Wayman?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Donaldson?
Yes.
Okay, next thing on my list, I emailed you guys a copy, I scanned it and sent it to you. Our ISO results are in. Actually, we did clear it out fairly well with this ISO rating. We're a 6 and a 9. The 6 is in the watered area, the 9 is the non-watered area. We fared out pretty well. We dropped to a 4 in and a 4Y. The 4Y is in our non-watered area. What kind of helped us there is that we put together a map where the non-watered areas are. We had specific tankers. They're in all the LH offices, so when we get a call for a fire in that area, certain tankers come in those. So they kind of reduced our rating because of having the amount of water we have coming during the first alarm. We could do further if we want to, but overall, the only thing that's kind of hurting us the most is the fact that we have the lack of water throughout the whole community. You're talking 50-some square miles here. There's a lot of area with non-water, so it's always going to hurt us in that particular area. We have made some improvements to try to break that 4 down even further with some training and some other things that we're going to capture data-wise to help with the ISO rating. Well, I don't know if you guys would have any questions. I talked to Mr. Gehring on this. He said residentially wise, it really is not going to affect the residents because it's still within 1,000 feet of a fire hydrant. Anything past that 1,000 feet, you go into that 4Y part. But for the industry part of Madison, the commercial part, that's better for them in the long run. I don't know if anybody's had any questions. I haven't had a chance to send it out to the group yet, but I know I'm going to talk with you guys first, and then I'll send it out to everybody else so they can see where we actually ended up with the rate.
Chief, if I could, Mr. Chairman, the residential doesn't affect it, Mr. Gehring is actually correct, but we dropped from a 9 to a 4Y. I'd like to see if there was we can call it a model industry that would be effective and exactly what the dollar savings would be, dropping from the 9 to the 4Y, which is pretty significant. And essentially, when we get an opportunity perhaps to publicize that, that we did well in the rating, and a industrial building of $1 million value was this, and now currently is that because of the efforts of the fire district and improvement of service. I think that's good, not only a good PR point, but it's also really relevant to the idea of economic development that the community might have in mind. So just use a model. It doesn't matter what figures you use, and it just give some frame of reference, because most of those numbers don't mean much to anybody else.
Right, I'll ask Mr. Gehring to see if he can.
Okay, that's great.
And we can check with a couple other insurance companies as well to get that information. Last part, I was at the Ohio Fire Chiefs legislative dinner this last couple of days. We talked to our legislators. We had 5 issues that the fire chiefs were looking at to talk to them about, and we covered them pretty extensively with them to get their help with a couple of things that they're looking to, that we wanted to get through the House, some bills. And we were very fortunate, Senator Seitz come and visit with us, talk about his bill he's putting through with the smoke detectors. And then the Speaker of the House, Cliff Rosenberg, was there. He come and sat and talked with us for a while with the whole group. It was actually pretty informative to be talking to the legislators like that. And then we met with Ron Young and Rogers, Representative Rogers, and just talking about stuff, Chief McDowell and I were talking to him about some of their issues with their the deregulation and stuff like that, and the tangible personal property tax they've been hit with. And then we did talk about, we had a pretty good sized panel talk to us about the community paramedicine that's coming. It's something we have to start looking at and thinking about. Community paramedicine is part of the Obamacare. What happens is the hospitals, Lieutenant Baker, you can step in on it this week because I know you work for Metro. If they have somebody that they see or treat and comes back within 30 days, they won't get paid. So the hospitals now are going to get fined and also not get paid. So they're looking for ways to we're not going to take over home health because you got the nurses. It's more of a benefit to go after the super users, the people that we have to call multiple times, and try to help out with those patients to catch them from going back to the hospital. Because a lot of times when somebody's in the hospital 5 to 8 days, they want out of there. They don't want to sit and listen to their going home, take home instructions, follow with their medication. Most of them are tired, they just don't want to hear it. They want out of there. So our goal was to try to hook up with some of the hospitals and find those people and target them and come and visit them, make sure they're taking their medication, following the health plan that they were given to take home, and stuff like that. It's coming, so we're gonna try to see, last year we had the legislation changes so we can make it legal, because originally, we only emergency services that we could do. So the legislators had that change for us last year, so we could look into moving into that. And that was it. Basically, that's all that I have for today, unless you guys have any questions.
Yeah, is there a revenue stream associated with that?
Right at the moment, no. There is no revenue streams.
So this is another.
That's why it's not started yet.
And it's not a requirement.
Doesn't the Lake County Health already have kind of a visiting?
Yeah, there's the
service for a
visiting
lot of those
nurses, you
patients
have the
already?
home health nurses. This is something that the Obamacare has been pushing to, one, to go after the hospitals for this, but also to get us involved. But
Okay.
So the whole healthcare system changed. Now they have HCAP scores. It's how hospitals are rated. It's based on the patient. You know, when you get out of the hospital, you have an evaluation to fill out. Their scores there kind of manage what percentage of reimbursement that they get. But they look at length of stay and they're looking at returns. So like the chief said, if you return within 30 days, they're penalized for that. So gone are the days, and you remember even when you were at the city, they wanted you to bring everything to them. Well, now that could be detrimental because you have a patient that returns in 30 days, they don't get paid. And their score actually is impacted, which means the reimbursement is down. So there was a couple pieces of legislation that needed to happen. First, our scope had to change because we're only allowed to go for it was against the law for me to come and check on you the next day. I can't do that unless somebody calls 911, so that changed. And next was the billing process, and one of the hang-ups now is the Ohio Hospital Association is pushing this because they're the ones with vested interest. They're the ones that are gonna lose money. So the caveat now is who's gonna pay for it? Because the hospital association pushed it to the fire service because, you know, everybody likes us and we have time. But they don't wanna fund it.
so they're also looking at possibly if we partner up with the hospitals, they would pay us to go out and do that. But there is, with the Obamacare, there is, with the Medicare and Medicaid, they're looking at down the road, it is right away that they will make reimbursements for that. So let's say we go visit patient A because they have a follow-up and we do their vitals and things like that, there may be a specific pay scale that down the road that they're looking at that they would pay us through Medicare and Medicaid or through the hospital.
One other item. I work fairly closely with the Department of Agriculture. Gosh, it's probably been 15 years ago now. I worked on about a 5-county project. We installed, I think, 27 dry hydrants. I don't know. Looking at your, the rating system and everything. It was mostly for residential, of course, but if there's ever any interest in that again, I'm sure we can.
Yeah, if you can give me the contact for that.
So it'd be a lot easier now because we have GIS now and we can identify ponds and there's also services to help perhaps build ponds as well, so.
Or even get the hydrant itself to put in. That's a
Yeah,
cost.
it's usually paying for the hydrant and then somebody pays to install it and put it in. So,
And they have to be certified every year too, to make sure they're working. Thank you. That's all I have.
Anything else for the chief? I had a couple of questions. How long did the squad sit on its top?
Probably about 2 hours.
So that motor's pretty much toast, being there.
Well, that's the problem, is when it rolled over, it was still running in the motor oil and all that.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted him to go get the oil out, because we just changed it that morning, the day before, and the filter, but. I know.
Okay.
Lieutenant Henry was trying to figure a way to get the oil back.
Okay. No, okay, the other one was the carpet and the tile. You haven't contracted anybody, and we're assured that there's nobody that's associated with this or affiliated with anybody in this.
Yeah, they're not associated,
Okay,
it's
I'm just
coalition.
making sure that.
Yeah, I know how nobody can be associated with it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, very good. That'll be it. I guess we go to the closing public portion. Mr. Winter?
Just a couple questions. One, the first one is, because I know the structure, I know you have chief, captain, just heard you mention about the captain. I know the captain did leave a while back. My question is do you really have to have one for the structure with the position in financially? I mean, is it something that, you know, I know you've been using lieutenants or whatever to fill in the spot. Is it something that has to be there for the structure, especially with the financials, you know, financials the way they are now? And it's, like I said, I don't know if it's something that has to be there or if it doesn't, just my question. Second question was, I know the village is different from the township when it comes to fire hydrants. I know there's a lot of non-functioning or currently broken hydrants in the village. Does that affect the rating you were talking about at all?
No, the hydrants, if they're out of service, and that doesn't affect. Now, we have, you know, we find them, we let them know when they're broken. They do their testing on the hydrants, they flush them themselves. We do the township ones, you know, for the county. But the village takes care of their own.
Yeah. Okay, and then the last one was the levy. I know it's needed. I know it has to happen. I'm, you know, everybody that comes to these, everybody knows that it has to happen. My only question is I listened to a lot of the, you know, listen to a lot of people talk about, you know, community-wise, you know, for it, against it, whatever. My question is, has the board ever considered doing anything different as far as structure to maybe to help gain some of the community people to change their mind about, you know,
Well, just to help you with that question, part of the labor management that I pushed for with both groups, that's part of the talk that we had. It's kind of, that's something we're going to talk about in our, you know, the next meeting, but that has been talked about.
And the only reason I ask that is because I know that that's something that drastic is going to be appealing to the public, because, I mean, between right now and November, I believe it says November when it's going to be able to be put on.
Yes.
So between now and November, I mean, realistically, you've only got, after tonight, you've got 8 meetings left to try to, you know, figure out how to get, you know, the people to vote yes for it, because if you don't, I think everybody in here is well aware of, you know, the district's gonna be in a very, very bad spot, and I don't think anybody really wants that to happen, including the community, but I'm just wondering if there's anything that can be done, and I know myself and Mr. Vest were in a meeting, and one of my questions was there something that could be restructured in the board to add people from the community or something to, you know, make it to where more people can have access to decision-making, or, you know.
Well, one of the things that because I pushed at this meeting, that we need to fix the ties between the labor and the management here. And we are making that step. I think it was a very positive step between the fire board representatives that were there, along with both the labor, part-time and full-time. And it was a very, very well-rounded conversation. We did talk about levy. We talked about many things, and that's going to be part of our presentation in next month, and hopefully we'll be able to answer that. And they seem very, very willing on both sides to work together towards that goal of the levy. We just now got to get it out in front of everybody else, and we can start having those meetings to start moving towards that.
And I also want to say that just from a couple months ago, it's definitely nice to hear that things are going well, because there was a couple meetings where it wasn't that way, so it's definitely comforting. And also, I'm sorry, Craig Winkleman, 4440 Colorado, I didn't state that when I started, so.
Mr. Wade, what was your first question?
The captain
position.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know if it was a structure.
Well, we answered all the other ones. That one we didn't answer. The board asked me to look into that. They feel that I probably do need somebody to help me, and we're looking into that, along with, and work on a job description and things like that. It's something we're gonna have to look at. Because basically, you have me, and then you have 6 lieutenants. These guys are on shift. They can't always be here for everything. I mean, I got one lieutenant going to a meeting for me this Friday. You know, so we got to get somebody somewhere along the line, not right at this second, but it's going to have to happen. Because this is a pretty good sized department, you know, with all the people that we have and all the stuff that goes on. We need to try to balance that structure out, or you're going to burn me out. I know that's the board's sentiment. I'm pretty sure that's what they're afraid of, that I'm going to get burned out, you know, doing what I do all the time. You know, and that's what we're looking at.
Thank you.
Hmm?
Mr. Chairman, if I may just respond quickly.
Most certainly.
Regarding the structure of the board itself, that's set by statute with the revised code. That's not only the board, but also how the district was first created and the different parameters that the board has to act on.
Well, I had asked the question before of who's capable of changing that, because that would,
At this point, it'd be the legislature.
above the board though.
No,
No,
of Ohio, the
legislature,
state
state
of
of Ohio.
Ohio.
Oh, okay,
It's
so.
set by the revised code.
Oh, so the
One of
board
these.
can't change the
One of
structure of
these.
it?
No.
Okay, I see, I got, that was my question right
Right.
there.
Oh, I thought you meant about, you're talking about the board, I thought you were talking about the fire department itself.
Yeah, no, I meant the board itself.
Oh, the board,
Yeah,
that's a,
It's set by statute.
okay.
sorry about that for misunderstanding there. Garrett, you got it all?
Yeah, that was it, thank you very much.
You answer, I
Appreciate
wanna
it.
make sure we answer them all?
Yeah, no, you're good, thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Any other closing public portion? Anything else? Okay. All right. Closing board comments? I'm glad everybody's okay, concerning the accident. Need to let everybody walk away and nobody got hurt. And it seemed like it's handled really well. Couple of inches, but we're gonna get through that. Next meeting is March the 9th, at 7 o'clock at this station, and the following will be April the 20th. Any other business to be attended to?
And you're gonna put that out, it's change.
I'll take care of that, thank you.
There's nothing else to come before this board. Close the meeting at 7:26. Oh, my God. Well, what time is it? 7:32?
7:35.
All right, well, I guess I need a motion to adjourn. I'll make that motion. And a second. Okay, roll call.
Mr. Best?
Yes.
Mr. Wayman?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Donaldson?
Yes.
Mr. Tackett?
Yes.